Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Shawan Burns, and we are going to get into it today. We got some things to talk about. First, we're going to talk about Eric Adams. He just signed into, he just signed into law banning height and weight discrimination. For certain, I guess, employment services. So we're gonna take a look at this particular bill and what they're trying to say with this bill. I don't know if it was a waste of time, but anyway, th- it's kind of crazy because we're saying now is this body positivity thing that's going on, and they're trying to say that your way has nothing to do with your health. But I pulled up some CDC statistics, and it says different of what this bill is saying. Okay, so we're going to look into that. And at the second half of the hour, we're going to talk about immigration. It's a heart-wrenching story that I found on Forbes News. This young lady, actually, she testified on a count where her child was murdered by an immigrant. So we're going to look at that. And then I have another clip that we're going to take a look at where a guy was, asking people in El Paso, Texas, and these were immigrants, illegal immigrants trying to get across the border or what have you. But anyway, how disrespectful immigrants are, that they're just really coming over here to, like I said it before, once before, really use up the resources. They know Title 42 has expired. They know Biden is not really tightening up the border, and they know they could get in without doing a real system of checks and balances, and actually a detailed look into these people that's coming in. I'm not against immigration, but I think we need some immigration laws, and actually to enforce the immigration law, to actually stop all the people that don't want to be here. They just want to use up our resources. They don't respect Americans. They don't respect America. From stop them from coming over here. Okay, so we'll take a look at that later on the second half. So I want to show you that, guys. This is, our rip to Tina Turner. She passed away a couple of days ago, and I guess, what is her name? Lizzo. Lizzo decided to do a tribute to Tina Turner. And when I say I don't like to talk about people. That's not what I like to do. And if it doesn't make sense, I'm not trying to shame people if to make them feel bad. And I'm not a bully or anything. But I could remember a day where even if a person Lizzo size, you could still wear stuff that complements your body. You could wear stuff that's it is less offensive. Let's put it that way. You don't have to show everything. And that's not only Lizzo size, and let me show you this. Not only Lizzo size, with smaller size females. I mean, today we like to show everything, and I don't understand why. Why is that? Why do we like to show everything? And when people come for you, you're saying, "Oh, you're fat shaming and you're trolling. You are you need to accept me for who I am." But why? Why? And I'm not going to play the music because it will be a copyright strike. But why do you have to look like this? Why do I have to see this? And you call this a performance? This is something that she's performing. She's doing I think she's singing Big Wheels Keep on Turning by Tina Turner. And she's shaking and gyrating, but she doesn't have any clothes on. Now, you might say, Shawan, you wouldn't feel the same if Beyonce did this. Probably not. I probably wouldn't feel the same. But I think even Aretha Franklin, uh, even Tina Turner was a smaller lady, and she was very fit for her age. She was a fit lady. She had muscle tone and all that stuff. And then when you see this, it's like, okay, slay girl. People are encouraging this sickness. I think it's a sickness. We're encouraging this sickness, and when you say something against it, you are talked about. You're saying that you're fat shaming. You need to be accepting of all people. So I don't know why we celebrate this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying we as a culture, like Black people. It goes across the board. This You have, I don't even know if it's a liberal thing. Is it a liberal thing? Somebody put it in the chat. I think it's a liberal thing, but you have your white people celebrating, and you got the Black people. And Lizzo made it kind of like a thing, like, oh, she's so talented, and she doesn't have any shame. She's so I guess positive in her body. I don't know. Oh, she has so much confidence in her body. And me, I'm a smaller size woman, and I would be afraid to wear that. I would be afraid to wear that, but I'm not a performer either. So I'm not getting on stage and singing. But like, I would be afraid to wear that, even as a bathing suit, because it's high cut. To me, she doesn't really have any clothes on. So I wonder what is it that Eric Adams, New York, what are they trying to prove when they sign a bill to say, hey, you can't do height or weight discrimination? What's the point of that? So I'm going to share you and I'm going to interject on some of the stuff. This is from Forbes breaking news website, and it's kind of hilarious because as they're narrating, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? What is the purpose of this whole bill? And then they got this national acceptance of fat people association. This is an actual association, you guys. A national acceptance of fat people. But I'm wondering, like, when have we not accepted fat people? I mean, okay, if you go on the airlines, I guess you could say that's not accepting of fat people because they have smaller seats. But when have someone says, okay, we're not going to accept this particular person? Are you forcing, just like transsexuals, trans men, they're trying to force men to date them because they said, oh, they put so much work into being a woman, you should want to date them. Is that the same with someone that's on the heavier side? Oh, you should accept me for who I am. And then you have other people sticking up for these individuals that they feel like they're ostracized in the community. Okay. So I don't want to talk too much, but to me it's kind of hilarious. um and let me just play this for you. Play this clip. Oops.
Congratulations. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Really excited about this bill and thanking the councilman for really thinking differently of how we deal with equality in a real way in our city, and for hearing the concerns of not only his constituents, but throughout the city, those who in any way were denied opportunities uh, for any reason at all. And we're here today for
Not to cut the guy off, but Eric Adams, we're thinking of ways that we could be more inclusive and opportunities for anybody have that has been denied of opportunities in New York. Now, New York is the capital of what? You guys put it in the chat. I'll let you put it in the chat before I say it. What is New York City known for? And it's two things to me. When I think of New York, I think of two things. And I think it's going to bring a bunch of lawsuits to employers. To me, that's what I think. But yeah, you guys put it in the chat. What is New York known for?
a public hearing and bill signing for Intro 209-A, which prohibits discrimination on the basics of a person's height or weight in opportunities of employment, housing, and access to public accommodations.
Access to public accommodations. Okay. So we're talking about Uber. Is that Uber and taxi cab services, the bus system, public transportation, maybe, New York transit system, just public services. I guess if you call 911 or emergency services, that would be public services. Okay. Housing. Hey, if you pay your rent, why would you be discriminated against housing? Okay. So I don't know. To me, it's like a waste of time.
We all deserve the same access to employment, housing, and public accommodation, regardless of our appearance. And it shouldn't matter how tall you are or how much you weigh. When you're looking for a job and you're out on our town, or you're trying to get some form of accommodation or apartment to rent, you should not be treated differently. And this Intro 209-8A prohibits discrimination on the basics of a person's height or weight or any other physical appearance. It helps level the playing field for all New Yorkers. It creates more inclusive workplaces and living environments, and it protects against discrimination. It does, however, allow for exemptions in cases where an individual's weight or height will prevent them from performing essential requirements of the job. So I want to really thank Council Member Sean Abreu for introducing this bill, and Council Member Natasha Williams for their support of this bill. And at this time, I would like to open the floor to any public comments, and we want to start with Josh Kellerman.
Eric Adams, he looks like he's a kind of short as a individual, but to me it's like, okay, you're gonna put a bill out, but what are you trying to say? I don't understand. Okay, you're putting this bill out, you saying, oh, these people are being discriminated against because of work. I never heard of someone saying, oh, they didn't hire me because I was overweight, unless you had to be a firefighter, or unless that you can't You had to have some type of weight requirements for the military, the police force, EMS. Are those things going to stop you from doing your job? Even a factory, they ask you in the factory or in a plant, are you able to lift 50 pounds or more? So, but if you're not mobile, and only reason why I'm saying this is because when I'm saying when we're saying fat discrimination or weight discrimination, when we're using that term, I'm thinking like you got to be so big that people are looking, because obesity is the norm. It's the norm in the United States, and I can prove it to you. We're gonna pull up the map on the CDC, and it's the norm. So I don't understand who is doing this discrimination. I don't understand that. I think it was a big waste of time. But anyway.
What if you could do SEO smarter?
We'll let this play. I'll get to some of your chats right now. Hello, Joseph. Let me pull this down. Joseph, you said Tina Turner is my kind of folks. She on my mother's side, the Lovelace family. Right after she died, my cousin Courtney Lovelace died also. They say it comes in threes. Just don't let 3 be me. Yeah, I know that's right. Well, my condolences to you and your family. T, believe it or not, it happens. And my friends have been discriminated against because of our weight. I'm a Black woman, and wider establishment, my weight becomes a question. Okay. I would like to, you're talking about like when you go out to eat or something like that, or if you're out on the town or a job. Outcast says New York City is the real life Gotham City. Yeah, it is. So the broadcast came back on. I need to rewind it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you to the mayor and to Councilmember Abreu for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Josh Kellerman. I'm the Director of Public Policy at the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, RWDSU. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of this law we're signing today. Banning height and weight discrimination in employment, housing, and public accommodation will change lives. It will raise this issue nationally and internationally. It will provide new economic opportunities for people, and it will begin changing our culture and how we treat people who are fat, little, or otherwise don't fit into the mold our society pushes us into. Thank you to the mayor, to Councilmember Abreu, and also to the agency who will be responsible for implementing this law, the Commission on Human Rights. I'd like to extend our thanks to the Retail Action Project, a worker center that builds power among non-union retail workers, many of whom are directly impacted by this form of discrimination. And lastly, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to NAFA for their dogged leadership on this issue and their unwillingness to give up this fight that they've been holding since the 60s. Here's to many more fights alongside you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have another public comment from Tigress Osborne.
One thing I want to say is, so they're saying like they have another retail discrimination, or like I guess it's a nonprofit organization to hire, or they're trying to hire people that have that are overweight or fat. And I guess that's the thing in New York. That's why I want y'all to put in the chat. What is New York known for? So, and that's what I said is going to lead to a lot of lawsuits. And there might be frivolous lawsuits. I think some jobs, if you want to represent your company in a certain way, you shouldn't hire certain people. I think if you're a privately owned company, and I'm not talking about the government because that's public service. I'm talking about if you are a privately owned company and you represent your company in a certain way, I think you should be able to hire who you want to hire. So we'll let you guys put in the chat if you agree or not. Maybe you don't.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mayor Adams. Thank you, Councilmember Abreu. And we thank all the members of the New York City Council who supported this bill, and those before this session who supported the early work on this bill. As the chair of the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance and a co-founder of the Campaign for Size Freedom, I am so thrilled at the example that New York City is setting today. We all know, y'all know, New York is the global city. And this will ripple across the globe in terms of showing to people all over the world that discrimination against people based on their body size is wrong and is something that we can change. We can't legislate attitudes, but we can do what everything that's in our power to ensure that people are treated equally and that people have equal opportunity under the law. So thank you, everyone who worked on this bill and everyone who supports this work across the country and all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll now invite the sponsor of the bill.
Why the other guy didn't get a clap? Because he wasn't fat. He was tall and slim. This lady, she's fat, so she's one of the people. She's the only one who got a clap.
Councilmember Sean Abreu.
Thank you, Mayor Adams. I am incredibly honored to be here today with you. Your eagerness to stand with us in the fight against height and weight discrimination sends a critical message that this is a new day in New York City, and I couldn't be more grateful. I look across this room and I see all the advocates that fought for years, even decades, to make this happen. I would like to acknowledge Tigers Osborne, Lydia Green, Josh Kellerman, Victoria Abraham, Dr. Dodell, the Commission on Human Rights team right here who negotiated with us on this bill, and others that I have had the privilege of working side by side with to propel this legislation across the finish line. None of this would be possible without you. To those who share their intimate stories of experiencing size discrimination and weight stigma, who devoted their time and their lives to make our society more equal, more dignified, and more just, I say thank you. Today is a monumental advancement for civil rights, size freedom, and body positivity. And while our laws are only now catching up to our culture, it is a victory that I hope will cause more cities, states, and one day the federal government to follow suit. No one should have to live with the silent burden of size discrimination.
I got to cut him off because they're misconstruing size discrimination. And I believe her name is Tia. She's in the chat. She's saying she lost off of job opportunities because of her size or whatever, because they think that she's not physically able to do the job because of her size. So we have size discrimination and body positivity. And I'm a firm believer that if you are not, is no good thing that could come to just being a size that's unhealthy for you. So we're saying body positivity, but what's positive about if you get a major illness that caused you to die? I don't understand. So how's that body positivity? I don't know what's positive about that. And we've seen over the last few months I forget what the girl name was, but she had a show on, I think it was on TLC, and she was trying trying to say fat acceptance and all this stuff, and she ended up dying. I think it's steering these people in the wrong direction of, okay, yeah, it's okay to feel comfortable in your skin, but you still need to do the work to stay alive. And that lady, she died, I think she was like 37 when she died. Then her friend died right after her. I'll look it up to show it to you, but no, you shouldn't get discriminated from a job. If you could do the job, you shouldn't be discriminated against. But they're putting body or body acceptance or fat acceptance and body positivity. Look, you view yourself as in a positive light. You have to own this stuff, but you can't force people, like the young lady said. You can't change people's attitudes. You can't do that. You can't legislate your way into changing people saying, "Oh, accept me." Look at and Lizzo. "Oh, accept me. I'm twerking and I don't have any clothes on," because to most people, it's not attracting. It's not attractive. So I think they're putting it all up in one bunch. Like I said, you don't need to be discriminated against because of your weight. But if you can't do the job, yeah, they shouldn't offer you the job. I'm sorry, they should not offer you the job. The job I did, I'm an engineer by trade, and we had a one young lady. She was bigger. She was a hefty sized girl, but she wouldn't climb the towers like I did. She was more on the other side of the engineering side, like writing stuff and figuring out stuff. I would do both. I would climb towers and inspect towers when they change out equipment, that kind of stuff. Number one, I was small. I'm able to, even the guys couldn't even fit in some of the spaces. So since I was smaller, I was able to fit in that space. So they could hire somebody. If I would have got into like metallurgy engineering, they wouldn't have hired somebody that's a larger size individual, even male or female, because you got to be able to fit into those towers to look to see if they did the repair right. And those towers are small. Like it was tight for me, and I'm 5'5" and 120 pounds or 125 pounds. So it was tight for me. So, like, just to bring it back, what I'm talking about, body positivity. That's okay. This is how you view yourself? Or we're saying, oh, the world should view me as I am and be positive about it. I'm not sure what they're trying to say right here. Y'all put in the chat. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I'm not for sure.
To feel as if they are defined by their stature rather than their character. I'm very proud to join the mayor today in standing strong for diversity and inclusion, to be building a city that cares about how it treats and protects its citizens. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
So now they're about to sign the bill, and he's going to sign it 12 times and give everybody a pen. Okay. So we're talking about body positivity. That's what we're talking about. Is it body positivity? Okay, so let's see. Getting to some of your chats. So if someone is overweight or short, is passed over for a job, it could mean an automatic lawsuit no matter what. That's what I'm saying. This is from Ryan Kairos. Am I pronouncing your name right? Kairos. Ryan, you're absolutely right. Is that right? Yeah, Ryan, you're right. That's what I was saying. Like, if somebody is passed up for a job, is it an automatic lawsuit? I think it's just a dangerous slope that they're digging or going down. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so Joseph, it says it depends on what type of job, if you ask me, because if I have to hire the smallest woman in the world who is 2 feet tall, and then the line of work is a 4 feet tall, what the hell can she do? Yeah, I mean, so in this bill, it's saying if it stops you performing, if there's a height or weight requirement, and if you're not physically able to do your job. Now let's talk about police officers. I just came across a video, and this woman stopped a man, and she was from Ohio. She was a police officer. She was from Ohio. Let me see if I can find it. And she stopped this individual, and she wanted him to lay on the ground. And he was like, "No, I ain't laying on the ground. You lay on the ground." And they got in a scuffle. Now, she was short, but she wasn't like a small woman. But some random citizen saw her scuffling with this guy, and he was an older gentleman. He was like in his 60s. And she was young, like me, and they were scuffling. And he was like overpowering her. She didn't have a backup. She wasn't riding with anybody, but she was giving him commands, and he wasn't obeying the commands. And she threatened to tase him, and she wasn't fast enough pulling out her tase. So he got the jump on her. So what I'm getting at, so she probably fit all the physical fit requirement, and that's why I said men and women are not equal totally. If they're not equal, I don't know why they putting that out there. Physically, men and women are not equal. Okay, you guys could get mad at me. Some of the women, y'all might be in the chat. I don't care. You're not equal. You can't physically beat up a man. You might be able to beat up some men, but like literally most of the men that you come in contact with, you try to buck up against and beat them up, you will get beat up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, now this was in Ohio. Are we saying that, okay, she didn't meet the physical requirements, so we shouldn't hire women in the police force either, because it happens all the time where you get some men, you shouting out commands to a woman is shouting out commands to a man, and you get some men like, shit, I could take you, and they do. And they end up either losing their lives or getting hurt. Luckily for her, she had a citizen that was rolling by and jumped out and helped her. I wish I could find that video, but I'll probably show you guys later on after, this when we're watching another video, I'll probably be able to find it. But it was so interesting that this lady couldn't contain this man. Now, and we're talking about physical attributes, okay? So back to the body positivity. Like I said, I climbed towers, and I was a small person. A bigger size person, man or woman, wouldn't have been able to fit into those towers to inspect towers. And just imagine if you are ever seen a petroleum company, And you know those long towers that you see, those are called distillation towers. They have a hatch in there. There's a little ladder. It's a hatch, and they call it a manhole. You go into this manhole, and it's not a manhole because really a man really can't fit in there. If you're a larger sized man, if you're a regular sized man, no, the average height of a man is 5'11, 5'10, 5'11. You'll have a hard time fitting in there. So I used to go in there and go in the towers and inspect when we had, they had to do a repair or something on a tower. So it's like I was able to do the job, but some of my colleagues wasn't able to do the job, so they didn't get picked for the job. Was they mad about it? Probably not, because it's way up in the air. So it's like, okay, what are we saying here? Is this going to lead to open discrimination? We're saying it's going to be open discrimination, and it's going to lead us to all these frivolous lawsuits. Now, back to my question. What is New York known for? It's known for its fashion. When you think of New York City, you think of fashion and Broadway, acting, right? Wilhelmina is the largest modeling company probably in the US. I don't know any larger modeling company in the US besides Wilhelmina. I don't even know if they still open. I could look it up, but Wilhelmina, they hire supermodels. What's a supermodel? You at least got to be 5'9", 5'10", and it's very slim. Me, I would be too fat for a supermodel and too short. So are we saying, hey, we're gonna, I'm here for open call. They call them open calls. I'm here for an open call to apply for a part, blah, blah, blah. The part reads as, young, white, petite lady. I'm black, large lady. I fit one of the requirements, but you turn me down for the part. Am I able to sue you? Or I go into Wilhelmina and they take me on for a contract because I'm 5'9". Oh, we could use you in a plus size model. Oh, and then you don't get called for the jobs. Are you going to sue Wilhelmina because you didn't get called for the jobs? They presented you, they trying to work for you because they get a commission off your work. But no, we're not going to give you a job because we're not looking for you at the time. Is that the discrimination? Or you driving an Uber. Look, you driving an Uber and you say, I want the smallest car because the smallest car is the smallest rate, but you can't fit in the Ford Fusion. Is that discrimination? Oh, you should own a larger car. Well, ma'am, no, this is my car. You think I should own a larger car because you might book my services? you see where I'm going at. This highly depends on the law, how the law is written. I can't understand being barred for certain jobs just on the basis of their outward appearance, body size, even if their body doesn't affect their job performance. Situations is different, and somebody's outward body type is judged that has nothing to do with their job performance. Exactly. But another thing, they have Bergdorfs. Bergdorf, that's a really high-end company. They sell stuff that normal people can't afford. I'll pull it up so you guys. Bergdorf and Goodman. And they sell really high-end shoes, clothing, and just designer stuff that we don't normally, it's not at Macy's, it's not at a normal department store. They sell like runway stuff. Would you hire, and I'm sharing this tab with you. You have high-end customers coming into your store. And these are the type of clothes you sell. And that's what I was getting at. Okay, this is a company. They sell these high-end clothes. And normally, let's see. I'm just going to pick on one. The largest size that these pants come in is a 16. Okay. This is $600 pants. Maximera. Would you hire someone that can't fit the clothes? Probably not. Does that mean this person can't do the job? Probably not. But this is the face of their company. That's what I'm getting at. New York is known for fashion. That's what they're known for. I mean, they're known for fashion. I mean, what is more to say about that? So fashion in the Broadway industry. You want to get famous? Normally, well, back in the day, if you wanted to get famous, you go to New York or California. I don't know where you go now, probably Atlanta. But Bergdorf and Goodman, they probably not hiring larger size people. You know, they're probably not hiring people. This is T. Oh no, we already showed you this one. T says overweight does not mean unhealthy. That's a stereotype. I'm classified as overweight due to a high BMI, even though the BMI calculator is based on white women with small frames. T, I have to push back on that. That's a stereotype. I have to push back on that because if you look at African women, I don't know if you that's where your heritage is from. If you have done a DNA, you look at them, they not overweight over there. So I mean, we're more curvier, maybe. But I was teased when I was a kid because I was so slim. You know, so I have to push back on that narrative that white woman is small and skinny. I mean, they are healthier. We could say that. So I can't agree with UT because I'm a smaller size woman and I was teased all the time because I was small. You know, it was like, oh, Shawan, you're skinny. And all the black kids used to tease me. Like, and now it's like, oh, I'm a normal size. I'm still small for my size, but I number one, I can't just say BMI is high due to because of who you are, because you're black. No. Because we could say that, oh, that's racial discrimination. Black people got higher to BMI than white folks, which we do, but that's not nothing to do with who you are as because your DNA. No, that has everything to do what you eat. So it has nothing to do, oh, because I'm black and I'm more curvier. No, we eat fried chicken. And y'all might be like, oh, Shawan, white people eat fried chicken. We eat fried chicken, greens, cornbread, collard greens. We put fat back in it, high sodium, macaroni, baked macaroni and cheese. You know, all the stuff that we put sugar in everything, you know, and it's like over amount of sugar. We eat potato chips, stuff that you're not supposed to be eating. And not I'm not saying there's no overweight white people. No, if we're gonna pull up CDC and we'll see what's the highest BMI? And it has nothing to do with reason why your BMI is high is nothing to do with your race. I think it all has to do with your education. It's a direct correlation. How you was raised, what's your food habits, and how you can break those food habits as an adult. So I had to push back on that. Ryan Ann Perez says from 600-pound life, she died at 48. No, it was another lady. It was another lady. I think it wasn't Lori Ann Perez. I know who you was talking about. I'm talking about the lady who had that salon. And then she was like, I don't even think she was 40 yet. If she was just pushing 40. Tracy, she says the Navy hires typically small women to clean up certain compartments and place in ships that the average person cannot fit in. Yeah. Airlines. That's another place where they might discriminate against because they have size requirements. You see that one lady, she was mad because she wanted the airline to put her on she suggested that the airline should be made for plus size people, you know. And the pushback was like, oh no, you got to buy an extra seat. You can't just have plus size seats where just accommodating you. Okay, I'm about to share you this article. What this article reads, if I could find it. Okay. This is from Rebel News. It says New York City Mayor Eric Adams signs a ban on fatphobia. Adams enacted the contentious bill on Friday that prohibits discrimination based on individuals' weight, height, and in spheres such as employment, housing, and public services. New York City's Democratic Mayor Eric Adams has instated a ban on weight discrimination, also known as fatphobia. Critics argue that the move has law firms eagerly rubbing their hands together. Adams enacted the contentious bill on Friday that prohibits discrimination based on individuals' weight, height, and spheres such as employment, housing. I don't know why they repeated that. Adams clarified this is not about combating obesity. It's about ensuring fairness, regardless of the body types. Every individual deserves equal treatment. He pledged to continue promoting a progressive health agenda, noting scientific studies have shown that the body type does not necessarily equate to health status, and it's a misconception we're keen on dismantling. Like I said, I don't know if I think that's a false narrative, and it's a dangerous narrative that they should stop pushing. I don't know anyone that that lives a long life and they're not eating healthy. You know, they're not really taking care of their body. And not being overweight cause other morbidity things, you know, diseases, you know, so you get type 2 diabetes or diabetes period, heart diseases, all kinds of stuff that you get with being overweight, you know. And I'm not saying a little bit overweight, I'm just like saying morbidly obese, you know. So there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. Now if we saying like, oh, she's not morbidly or he's not morbidly obese, okay, maybe I could probably agree with that. because there are some heavier people that they are healthy. But if you're not eating right and you're on the heavier side, more likely you'll pass away early. That's even with the dangers with COVID. That's what they were saying, that hey, if you're not really taking care of yourself, you have less chance of survival if you catch COVID-19, you know. So New York City's commissions on human rights will handle grievances related to weight and height, expanding its existing portfolio over 24 investigation categories, including race, gender, and age. Race, gender, and age. However, this new law has ignited a firestorm amongst critics who believe it could provide fertile ground for attorneys and an onslaught of lawsuits. Republican New York Council Minority Leader Joseph Borelli voiced concerns that the legislation could trigger a flood of litigation, allowing people to sue anyone for everything and everything. Yeah, I think so. Even there was some girls that got denied in the club, and they let other people in, and they were denied because they were all heavy, you know. And not to say they were not attractive, but they were heavy. I think they were in Miami somewhere. And it's like that's not what the club represents. So they're not gonna, they trying to get guys to get in there to buy drinks. But when they come in there and they see heavier women and that's not what they like, they probably won't come back to that club because they letting all the heavier women in. So that's just a business tactic. That's nothing to do with trying to be mean to the ladies. Is just something that they're trying to protect their business so they will be around in the future. Borelli stated, according to the Daily Mail, adding humorously, no one should feel bad for me except my struggling shirt buttons. The New York Post, I don't know how funny that is, but anyway, the New York Post editorial board labeled that the law a generous offering to New York City's opportunistic legal professionals. Yeah, they're ambulance chasers. So these are the new ambulance chasers. The new regulations in the part of growing trend in the U.S., the New York Times reported similar laws are under the consideration in New Jersey, Massachusetts, while jurisdictions like Michigan, Washington State, and Washington, D.C. have already put them into effect. I didn't know that. I didn't know New York or Michigan has already put laws into the effect of like age height discrimination. And we're talking about diversity and inclusion. What more inclusive groups that we could come up with? Like the DEI is almost like the LGBTQ. Now it's the 2LS. I don't know if y'all seen that. It's the 2LS LGBTQ. That's what it's called now. And that's the diversity and inclusion stuff. That's what this is. So, you know, they got all this. It's the 2SLGBTQIA plus acronyms mean whatever. So they got all these acronyms. And that's part of the diversity and inclusion. So you got all these different people, right? Then you have, you know, your ethnicity that, you know, you got protections under. Then you have height, you have protections under. And then you have age that you have protections under. And then you have weight, you know, so you have all these protections. You know, what else can you protect? I mean, wouldn't you fall in one of these categories? I wonder if they have a heterosexual protection. They got for gays and stuff and bisexuals or whatever. Do they have heterosexual protection? I'm not being I'm just trying, I'm asking for a friend. Do they have any heterosexual? How about person that just have common sense protection? How about that? Do they got any protection? They got protection for all this craziness. Do they got protection for common sense? Okay. I just don't understand. So yeah, so they're saying that it's opening up a can of worms, and it's sad. It's sad that we're at this state that we gotta have height and weight discriminate laws to protect that type of group of people. And not to say that it doesn't happen, because I know it happens. But like even with the height discrimination, we're talking about the people that's, I don't even know, can you call them midgets anymore? I don't know. I think that's a derogatory term now. But maybe little people. Is that specifically for them, or they're just saying under guys that's short, maybe they don't get the job? Maybe they're discriminated against. Maybe so. Maybe that's what they're going for. Guys get discriminated a lot when they're short, though. Especially against women. Like guys, when you're short and you get discriminated against a lot. And I guess that's the same for, like, if you're overweight, you'll probably get, discriminated against. My sister, she just found the job, and she's heavy set. And she found the job at the plant. They hired her the same day. She works at the plant. She's like a quality control inspector. Parts, parts for, I think they make parts for like different, it's like a tier 3 automotive company or tier 2 automotive company. So, and that's why I say, do they really discriminate against you? But I could see maybe in New York, maybe it's a higher rate of discrimination because it's a fashion industry. And fashion industry, they're very discriminative all around, because like that's they're trying to cater to a certain type of audience. So anyway, T said Wilhelmina has plus size models too. I know, because that one girl, she was on there. They had several plus size models on their payroll, I guess, or roster. T says lawsuits are going to happen whether the law was passed or not. We are a litigious society, so people file lawsuits over everywhere, even if they don't have standing or can't provide or can't prove the case. Yeah, we're a litigious society. I want to show you the CDC. And some of the statistics with the CDC about overweight and obesity. So one thing I want to highlight, a few streams ago, we talked about, and the stream is called Is Raining Man. Is Raining Men. And I only put that was a joke because the Navy was trying to recruit using drag queens, and they were like on TikTok and stuff like that. But one of the things, because we on that stream we reviewed a hearing where they were questioning one of the admirals over the military, and they pointed out that 1/3 of the population is automatically disqualified to sign up for the military because of some type of physical inhibitants. So they're either overweight or maybe they have asthma, but most of the time it was overweight. So they do have some statistics on unfit to serve. That's what this is. So it says just over 1 in 3 adults aged 17 to 24 is too heavy to serve in the military. Among the young adults who meet the weight requirements, only 3 in 4 report physical activity levels that prepare them for challenges in the basic training. Consequently, only 2 in 5 young adults are both weight eligible and adequately active. Ineligible to serve. And I'm not trying to say, oh, join the military or anything like that. It's not a campaign for the military, but it's interesting to see where America is at. It says 71% of young people in the United States would not be able to join the military if they wanted to. 71% because of overweight or obesity, educational deficit. We talk about that on our channel. Half of these kids can't read, and they pushing this other nonsense. Educational deficit. They can't pass standardized tests. To get in the military, it's called the ASVAB test. They do have practice tests where you could pass it, but so you could practice on it. But you got to pass it. You got to be able to read and calculate, do basic stuff. And some of these kids can't do it. Or they have a criminal or drug abuse history. Individuals in the 17 to 24 range account for 90% of the military applicants, because you get them young. That's when you want to get them. And then some of these kids, they're lost, so they're trying to join something that they want to be a part of. It says obesity impairs military readiness. 19% of the active duty service members had obesity in 2020, up from 16% in 2015. These individuals are less likely to be medically ready to deploy. They say obesity and physical inactivity is costly. The Department of Defense, our nation's largest employer, spends about $1.5 billion annually in obesity-related healthcare costs for current and former service members and families, as well as costs to replace unfit personnel. Lost workdays due to overweight and obesity for active duty military personnel is 658,000 days per year. The cost for that is 103 million per day. That's a lot. That's a lot. How do you become obese in the military? I guess because of the injuries, and now you can't do the physical requirements before. Maybe you on pain medication, and you're just laying there. Maybe I'm not for sure. How did they get to this point? 658,000 days per year. That sounds like you got a lot of 19% of active duty service members had obesity in 2020. 19%. That's in 2020. I wonder what the number is now. Did they take out the active, like the physical requirements? I'm curious to see where the military is going with this. And they're talking about things that they could do to make changes. Look, we got to make changes from toddler and up. If you don't see that, we got kids that can't read, and then we got kids that's morbidly obese. You know, we got to change that. The only way to change that is we got to do something about what we're teaching our kids, like at a young age. And apparently our school, this is government schools, our school system is failing us, and we have the numbers to prove it. So this is just a map of the disparities. Obesity may increase risk for severe illness. Racial and ethnic disparities persist. So when we're talking about disparities, and in this map, and it's probably something what T probably was saying about, because you're saying white woman, it's the BMI scale is based off a white woman. No, it's just based off of just health. You bleed the same blood as a white person. You got the same organs as a white person. Now, do you have the same access to the same food? Do you have the same knowledge as a white person? I don't know. It all depends on how you was raised. So, are there slim, and I don't want to even say slim. Are there people, healthy weight Black people? I believe so. There are a lot of healthy weight Black people out here, but we are it impacts us different because of where we live. That it all depends on, it's not about race, it all depends on about your demographics of if you're in the urban city, or how you was raised, or if you're in the suburbs and your access to food. We could go down that trail, but I don't want people to think saying, oh, it's systematic racism. No, it's not. It's not systematic racism, because you got white people. If you got some white people that if they living in the urban area or rural area and they poor, they probably making poor health choices, just like the poor Black man is making poor health choices. So that's why I want to get that out there. I don't want people to be like, oh yeah, because of systematic racism, that's why we don't have that's why we are obese, because the system. No, we're obese. We tend to be fatter because our food choices, and we never change the food choices and the things that we eat. So what is this map telling us? This is overall map. Everybody's included. Whoever's in these states, everybody's included in these states. And we could see that we have a lot of orange. Orange means, the darker orange means this 35 to 40% BMI. Is that BMI? Oh no, no, that's not even BMI. They're saying 35 to 40% are overweight. 35 to 40% overweight, actually the population. The total population. Okay, so this is Everybody included. That's what this map is telling us. Now let's go from bad to worse. Non-Hispanic Asians. This is all the Asians in the United States. Less than 20%. Some of them, if they're white, they got insignificant data. So less than 20% of their population is obese. Okay? Less than 20%. Non-Hispanic white adults. So white adults. You get 25% California, 25 to 30%. You got some 20%. That's in Colorado. Florida didn't even participate. Florida, I think on all these maps, they didn't participate in this research. Look, in the southern states, in the red, that's red. That's 35 to 40% of the white population is obese. What do we mean when they say obese? I think the BMI has to be over I think it's 25% or 29%. So, and then we get down to Hispanics. Hispanics, they're a little bit worse. You got some states, they're 45 to 50% obese. 40%, 40 to 45%. That's the red or the dark red. This is burgundy, I guess. That's South Dakota. You know, everything is red or orange. They're either 30 to 35% or 40 to 45%. That's the majority. And then you got one state that's 45 to 50%. And then you have Alaska Native Indian. You got some that's over 50%. Then you got some that's less than, well, 25 to 30%. So 50%. So they're saying 50% of their population is overweight. And then we have blacks. Montana and Florida, insufficient data. We know we got a lot of black folks in Florida. I don't know about Montana, though. So, I mean, all the southern states, dark red, 45 to 50% of the population is obese. Wisconsin, over 50%. Michigan, 40 to 45%. You know, then you got North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, or Oregon, and I think that's Maine. Yeah, Maine is 25 to 30% is obese. Based off of this report, they're saying black folks is the most overweight population based off of what CDC is saying. Even childhood obesity. It says child care, school environments, neighborhood designs, access to healthy, affordable foods, beverages, access to safe and convenient places for physical activities. To prevent home obesity, then, they got stuff that you could do to prevent it. You got to keep your kids active, basically. You can't just let them sit there, and you got to change your diet. All these processed foods that we eat, we got to change it. And you got to cook your foods instead of going to McDonald's all the time. My suggestion is, oh, Shawan, I got kids and I'm a single parent. Buy a crock pot. You can buy a $25 crock pot and put your meal in, so you won't, if your kids are not able to cook potted meals. You could put chicken and rice all in the same pot, and that's a meal, and it takes out the processed foods. Eat vegetables. There's a lot of stuff that we could do, but we can't just say it's systematic racism. So, and it's saying if your BMI is 18 to 25, it falls in the healthy weight range. If it's over 25 to 30, it's within the overweight range. And if it's over 30, I think I said it was over 29. If your BMI is over 30 or higher, it falls into obesity range. Class 1, they got different classes. BMI of 40 or higher, class 3 obesity is sometimes categorized as severe obesity. And then they have how you could calculate it and all that stuff. I wanted to go over obesity basics. Let me decrease my screen. I wanted to find, because they were talking about in this. Okay, so I just wanted to say what's the risk of being obese. Children with obesity are more likely to have obesity as adults. I don't know why they wrote that. They're saying children, they're saying like if a child is obese, more likely their parent is obese. Obesity costs the U.S. healthcare system nearly $173 billion a year. And then you have more risk or higher risk for developing heart disease, type 2 diabetes, some types of cancers. Can you develop these illnesses without being obese? Of course you can. That's not what we're saying, but you have the higher chance of getting whatever type of disease if you're obese. It says fewer than 1 in 10 children and adults eat the recommended daily amount of vegetables. Many Americans lack healthy, affordable foods and places to be active. We could say that, but we saw Walmart moved out. They divested in their community. Some of these major cities did have healthy food choices, but they drove all these places out. I mean, you can't be a small grocery store and be in there because they're stealing too much. So, it's like, okay, yeah, some of these people don't have access to, and it says have access to within a mile of a healthier food retailer. And that may be true. So you got to have a car to get there. But like as we see, and that's one of my highest view videos with Walmart, you know, the citizens of Chicago protesting because Walmart decided to leave the city of Chicago. They shut 4 of their stores down because people were stealing. They wasn't profitable. More than half Americans do not live within a half a mile of a park. Does that mean not work out? I mean, I don't live a half a mile from a park, but you can still work out. You could walk your neighborhood if your neighborhood is safe, ain't safe. I remember when my sister was staying with me, we just walked around a circle in our in my dining room to get our steps in. So reason why I clicked on this breastfeeding too, because I think we need to, like, when you pregnant, I think you should be breastfeeding too. And it helps you lose a lot of weight when you breastfeed, especially that stomach weight. Anyway, we're gonna talk about immigrations now. Let me get to some of your chats. I hope I was talking, you guys. I hope I couldn't, you guys wasn't looking at my. Let's see. They had to put graduation on hold because the 5 people were eligible to graduate out of the whole graduation class. That's ludicrous. Joseph Young, which wrong. When I was serving in Hawaii, there was about 1 in 5 obese soldiers. They just get lazy and they eat a lot. We have had fat people in this country for hundreds of years. Why all of a sudden is this an issue? I don't know. I think they just made it an issue. I don't know. There is always something phobia in the US. The most free to speech the country, it's human nature to abuse someone. Yeah, when you have free speech, you saying that I have I have the right to speak my mind. That is true. You have the right to speak your mind. I don't know why my screen stopped sharing, you guys. So you probably didn't see. Or maybe you did before I closed it out. So we're gonna get to, let's see if I can find it. We're gonna get to immigration, because this is kind of sad. This is a horrible story, you guys. It's about this young lady and her child was murdered. Her child was murdered because some psycho she was rooming with, her and her boyfriend was rooming with, to afford the rent. And they didn't know something was wrong with him.
Alone, but I want to assure you, you're not alone, and you're now recognized to tell your story.
Thank you to the members of the committee for having me. My name is Tammy Nobles. I am the mother of Kayla Hamilton. July 24th, 2002 was one of the best days of my life. I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and named her Kayla Marie. She was a happy and easygoing baby. Even back then, she loved to smile and laugh. She always kept her friends close and never forgot anyone. She was kind, caring, thoughtful, and funny. She loved life and God. She showed the world that being yourself was okay, and you didn't have to follow everyone else. But sadly, on July 27th, 2022, I received the worst news that a parent doesn't want to hear, that my newly 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room and left on the floor like trash. She left behind a mother who loved her, a stepfather, a brother, a younger sister, grandparents, and lots of aunts, uncles, and cousins. At first, we knew very little details of the murder until an arrest was made. The details we learned broke us. At the end of March of 2022, Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S. at the southwest border in Rio Grande City, Texas. I am not sure if he was vetted or not, but he was a 16-year-old known gang member affiliated with MS-13 in El Salvador. The MS-13 motto is kill, rape, and control. He entered the country as an unoccupied alien child. As a UAC, the murderer was allowed to go live with his aunt in Frederick, Maryland. She was also an illegal immigrant. There were issues with him living there, and he went to go live with his half-brother who lived in the same trailer park as Kayla and her boyfriend. My questions are, what protocol was the aunt supposed to follow? If she couldn't handle him, then why not inform the proper authorities? The half-brother tried to get him a job and to do the right thing, but that didn't happen. So the half-brother told him that he had to leave. At the trailer park, an illegal immigrant owned numerous trailers and was subletting them out. That is how Kayla was able to get a place, because she didn't make much and had no credit yet. The half-brother asked the owner if she had any rooms for rent. She did, the same trailer as Kayla. Kayla's murderer was living there less than 5 days before he viciously murdered my daughter. Kayla had 2 jobs. She was working at a cleaning company and at a grocery store. Kayla had autism, but she was determined to live independently and make her way in this world, and my baby paid the ultimate price. She had just gotten home from work, working the night shift, and said goodbye to her boyfriend that morning when he left for work. She then went to sleep. The murderer went into Kayla's room, strangling her, grabbed her iPod charger and wrapped it around her throat and face while strangling her to death. Kayla grabbed her phone and called her boyfriend, but went to voicemail. The voicemail of the murderer strangling her was 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. The murderer then violently sexually assaulted Kayla. Kayla's boyfriend came home from work and found her dead on the floor. The charger cord was so tight around her neck and face that her boyfriend had to use his teeth to get it off. The murderer robbed her of her phone and $6. $6 is all my baby had in cash because she used the snack machines at work to get something to eat. He then went to lunch with his half-brother like nothing happened. Local police didn't have enough evidence to arrest the murderer, so Child Protective Services took him into custody and placed him in an unsecured children's home with other children, even knowing that he was the main suspect in a premeditated murder case. when he was arrested for Kayla's murder, he laughed and smirked. For me, this is not a political issue. This is a safety issue for everyone living in the United States. This could have been anyone's daughter. Kayla wasn't doing anything wrong, and she didn't deserve to be murdered. I don't want any other parent to live the nightmare that I am living. I am her voice now, and I am going to fight with everything I have to get her story told and bring awareness of the issue at the border. I will make sure her memory lives on. Murder itself is already taboo, but then you mention MS-13 and nobody wants to touch it. Nothing will change if nobody talks about the problem. The United States government has to secure our border. We need to properly vet all border crossers. The government could have placed a phone call to authorities in El Salvador and found out that he was a gang member, but they didn't. If we had stricter border policies, my daughter would still be alive today. Nothing will bring my daughter back, nor the pain, nor fix the pain. I'm not having her here, but I want to prevent this from happening to someone else's child. This
I feel for her. I feel sad for that lady. I mean, it's so sad because when you hear stories like this, and we just have a policy that we let anybody in, and we have the resources, but we refuse to spend the resources on this, actually vetting people. Like she said, they could have made a phone call and said, oh, you, do you know of this boy? And I think she said in the story that his parents ISIS came to pick up their parents and they got deported. I think U.S. law is kind of stupid, their immigration policies, because I know that if you're saying this is humanitarian, we're doing this for humanitarian reasons, and you separate the parents from the child, you let the kids stay here because maybe they're enrolled in school or what have you. But now the kids is deported and they supposed to be staying with their family. But if your family is not keeping up with you, your family kicked you out. Why didn't they hold their family accountable? Why didn't the family say, hey, this kid is no longer staying with us? But no, they're not going to do that. They're illegal immigrants too. Or maybe they're on their way or path to getting their green card or citizenship. But it should have been their obligation to report this boy, and they didn't. They didn't report this boy, and so he ran around killing people. Now, I want you guys to check this out. You might be like, "Look, Shawan, it's not a big deal." No, it's a big deal because we already have people that's citizens of the United States that don't like America. Why the hell would we bring in other people that don't like America? We have anti-Americans here that are citizens. They cannot pronounce the Constitution, the preamble Constitution of the United States. They can't pronounce the or cite the Pledge of Allegiance. They don't even know what's the song that we normally sing. Well, we used to sing it back in the day. Oh, say can you see? They don't know that song. Some of the kids don't know that song. They took the American flag out the schools, and you got Black Lives Matter flags in the schools and the LGBTQ in the schools, but you don't have the country that you live in flag in the school. Does anybody see a problem with that? But then, so we got anti-Americans here that's citizens, and now we're letting anti-Americans here. So we got to have more tyranny, maybe, uprising. I'm not for sure. A civil war. I'm not for sure what the government wants to happen. But people like this guy is dangerous. It's dangerous. Only reason why it's dangerous is dangerous what he speaks. And it's nothing more to say about that. You could tell people, oh, America hasn't been kind to me. America's did this to me. America has done that to me. But if you talk, you see Brittany Griner, she said she was going to stand up for put her hand over the heart when they do the Pledge of Allegiance. Because she took it for granted. Because she went over there to Russia and got her ass arrested for some weed oil. And now she knows that America is one of the greatest countries in the world, is the greatest country in the world as far as freedom. But we have this narrative that's being pushed that we ain't free. I used to get mad when I hear, some racist, and I would call it a racist remark. If you don't like it here, take your ass back to Africa. I used to get mad at that. But literally, I became that person. If you really don't like it here, why don't you leave? It's like, I mean, is that something bad to say to other people? Because if you really don't like it here, go somewhere else. Why are you trying to suck up all the resources and complain about it? You complain about all the resources and what the government's not giving you, and then you're anti-American. It's going to be either you love America and suck up the resources, or be anti-American and say, no, I don't need nothing from you. This is this guy.
Vale verga la gente aquí en Estados Unidos.
He said, OF the people of the United States. Look at this guy. He said, F the people of the United States.
Verga la gente.
And oh boy that's interviewing, since he knows how to speak Spanish, he said, F the people. And somebody in the background laughing like, F the people, because we gonna come over and get our checks too. We coming over. The government, the United States is beautiful because they're gonna give us money where they wasn't getting money in Venezuela. They don't got no welfare in Venezuela. And oh, girl is cracking up. And this is the people that we're letting over.
Verga la gente.
All these people standing by, waiting. These are men waiting to come in. They look well. They don't look like they coming from some war or some escaping some type of tyranny over there. No. They don't look, these people look well dressed, probably left jobs over there, and they probably told him, oh, you need to come to America because you don't have to pay taxes. You'll get paid under the table, because that's a lot of Mexicans get paid under the table, even though some Mexicans, they do work hard, especially in that construction stuff. But yeah, you can get paid under the table and you don't have to pay taxes because you're an undocumented person. They don't got you in the system yet. They said days after expiration of Title 42, hundreds of illegal aliens were living on the street of El Paso, Texas. They just all out, got tents up, probably harassing people, talking about F Americans.
¿Qué país?
México.
México. Ok. ¿Y tú? Venezuela. Sí. ¿Y por qué vas aquí?
Para comenzar una nueva vida.
¿Ah?
Todos nosotros estamos aquí para comenzar una nueva vida. Si somos mexicanos de
He's saying all of us came over here to start a new life. He said so with confidence and stuff like that. Like he coming over here to take what he deserved, what he think he deserved.
venezolanos, si somos de Guatemala, de Honduras, todos están aquí por el mismo propósito. Es por una vida buena, vida diferente. So, no se importa de cuál país es la propósito de nosotros.
He's saying it doesn't matter what country we're from, it's the reason why we're here. So I guess he's supposed to be the black Mexican Malcolm X. Really?
Estamos aquí.
¿Qué es tu opinión de Estados Unidos?
Bien bonito, Estados Unidos. Vale verga la gente aquí en Estados Unidos.
He's saying American is very nice, but F the people of the United States. F the people of the United States, the people, basically the people that pays the taxes, that's why you're over here. To get funded. You're over here to get funded. But F us. And he's saying it with a smile. He probably gonna go around, probably rob somebody. Talking about F you.
Verga la gente. Verga la gente. ¿Qué es?
Soy bien racista.
He's saying they are very racist and very envious. Why will we be envious of you? We're not envious of you. We just don't want you to suck up all our resources. He probably talking about black people too. They're very racist and very envious. The racist part, he probably talking about the white people at the border. And envious, he talking about the other black people because black people are mad that they still living in the ghetto. And then this guy gonna come over and get welfare.
Envidiosos, no quieren nosotros. Les mandan mensajes bien horribles. Ya mataron a
He said they don't want us here. They send us horrible messages. They already killed 22 people here in El Paso. Yeah, because you absolutely right. No, we don't want you here because you're taking advantage of our country.
22 personas.
If you come over here the right way, now, if you come over here the right way and they did all the checks and balances or the, background checks for each individual that's here, okay, then you have a right to be here. But you just came over here and don't even have a right to be here. Nobody gave you the authority to cross our border.
Aquí en El Paso porque quieren matar inmigrantes. So, América está bien bonito, las playas.
He's saying they want to kill immigrants. He's saying, we crossed the border and they want to kill us. Well, why are you crossing? Like, why would you come to a place where they don't want you? That's going to be reparations. Mexico going to end up having reparations against America. Oh, we treated you so bad, so we're going to give you reparations. That's another group American going to give reparations to, and Venezuelans. And look who's going to be mad. Black people. Y'all gave these Mexicans reparations. Didn't give us nothing.
De Los Ángeles, las playas de Miami. Estados Unidos está bien bonito, pero la gente en los Estados Unidos cambia sus caracteres porque te la van a cambiar a alguien porque no dices, no, yo, va a ser.
This fool said, He said, but the people in the United States have to change their character.
Cambiar a alguien
Because
porque no, y
somebody's
si
going to
es no
change it
yo,
for you.
va a ser alguien más
He's
mexicanos,
in the
venezolanos,
threat.
y si es no yo, va a ser alguien más fuerte.
Because they are going to change it with someone stronger. And you stronger. You the stronger individual. You can't even comb your hair. And it's dyed pink.
So, eso mi
He said, so that's my opinion of the United States if you want to know.
opinión de Estados Unidos, si quieres saber.
¿Tú pienses personas en los
¿Qué?
Estados Unidos es racista?
Si piensan que las personas de aquí en los Estados Unidos son racistas.
¿Sí o no?
Yo sí, he mirado mucha gente que son racistas en los Estados Unidos.
So, ¿por qué voy aquí? ¿O por qué
¿Por
vas
qué?
aquí?
Porque tengo familia que me van a cuidar aquí. Tengo mucha familia que me van a cuidar. So, ponte racistas a ver con quién se van a meter. Se van a meter con alguien que no sabe que se van a meter. So, sigue la racista y se van a meter con alguien que son pesados de Venezuela, de México, a alguien que no sabe. Mira, respetamos a América, por eso estamos aquí con los derechos y venimos legales, porque respetamos a América.
Okay.
Pero a veces nos falta el respeto a nosotros.
Shut up.
Vale verga la gente.
So he's saying that he comes over, he has to come over for his family. That's why he came over here. And he's trying to come over here legally. Well, good hats off to you. At least you saying you trying to come over legally. But like I said, they don't like us because they're saying that we're racist. We're racist people. I'm going to get to some of your texts. If I could see, I'll take this off the screen. Mark, they're the ones with the other mind phobia of others speaking their mind. Yeah, they do got a phobia. There's a troll on the stream, Hat Tail Political. I don't know if you in America, but if America sucks, why don't you just go to a different country? Why are you here? I don't even know how to pronounce your. Find out facts before you run your mouth. Yeah, you need to find out the facts before you run your mouth. So whatever your name is, hates all. I think that's hate all political. Don't get mad at me because I brought up videos. Like, dude, why you mad? You mad because I brought up a video? Maybe these one of your people or something. You mad. So don't get mad. And if you don't like it, if you don't like Americana, go back to Venezuela or Mexico. That's what you need to do. And stop sucking up all our resources. Now, what you guys let me know in the chat? Was that racist? was that racist that I just said? Oh boy. So anyway, this guy mad. So, like I said, we saw the video where the young lady, she lost her life to an illegal immigrant, and none of her family, none of his family, the guy that they accused of her murder, he laughed about it. He was part of that MS-16 gang. And then we got this guy. He's saying he thinks America is beautiful, but he hates the people in America. He hates the people in America. You know, so what do you do with that? I think they should just start vetting the people. And of course, you could like this guy. Should they let him in the United States? He probably should get deported. Because all you doing, we don't need hate on top of hate. We just don't need it. We, like I said, we have people in America that's anti-American. Why would you let other people in the country that's anti-America? So I've been streaming for about 2 hours, you guys. Like, comment, share this video. We made it to 27,000 subscribers, which I really appreciate that. Let me show you the YouTube channel. Made it to 27,000 subscribers. So I appreciate all the new subscribers and the old ones, the ones that's been rocking with me from day one. I appreciate all of you. You guys like, comment, and share this video. Share it with your friends. It helps me with YouTube algorithm, and also it helps me just to grow my subscription base, you know, to get the message out. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. I am sending all my good to you. You guys have a good evening.